How do you actually start an Airbnb business in 2025 as a beginner with zero experience? That is the exact question I'm going to be answering in this video. How to find your first property, how to furnish it, how to negotiate with landlords, and how to close on that property and get started. By the end of this video, you won't need to watch another Airbnb guide. I'm giving it all away. But you may ask yourself, why would I listen to this guy on YouTube? Well, my name is Luke Kent, and I have a portfolio of Airbnbs that make me over $10,000 net profit per month. Now that we've got this out of the way, the first thing I want you guys to understand is this is not a passive investment. This is not buy a property and rent it out. This is actually managing a business. We're gonna go through everything today, guys. I'm gonna write it down for you on this whiteboard so you can follow along. So what is Airbnb? Airbnb is a short-term rental platform, okay? That is where you go to rent properties for a short amount of time, between 1 night to 365 nights. Okay, guys, 1 year is how long you can rent on Airbnb. So, short-term rental site. Now, this is essentially the landing page for your property. This is where people who are searching for short-term rentals can come and find places like yours to stay in. Now, there are different management methods, okay? So, I'll take you through a few of them. Now, the first option, the most obvious option, is you buy a house and rent it out as a short-term rental. So rent your home, okay? And you can own that outright, or you can be paying a mortgage on that and you can rent it out as a short-term rental, okay? Now, the other option is arbitrage, okay, guys? And I'm massively bullish on arbitrage. And that, the basic concept, and we will go into it later on in this video, is that you rent a property from a landlord and then you sublet it on Airbnb with full agreement with the landlord, but you go ahead and you make the profit on top of the rental cost per month. You also cover the expenses as you would if you were a tenant in that property. So rent to rent is another term for it, okay? And then there's room renting. So you can rent a room on Airbnb, okay? And those are the couple of different options that you have in terms of managing properties that are going to be listed on the platform. So you could be renting a room, that could be a house that you own or a house that you rent and you want to sublet a room, okay? And that's not something that I've done myself. It's not really the most in-demand kind of rental on Airbnb, and the margins are very small essentially. So if you're renting a place and maybe you're a student or something like that and you want to make some extra pocket money, go ahead and rent a room out on Airbnb. Just be safe, guys, because you never know who's coming in. So now that you have a bit of an understanding of what Airbnb actually is, then we're going to go into how you can actually get started with a property, okay? A couple different ways. We'll go through some of the easiest, some of the most straightforward ways to get started on Airbnb and how you want to start successfully, how you want to make sure that you are getting a winning property to start with on Airbnb, right, guys? Okay, so obviously one of the most important aspects of starting your property is the initial location, guys. Location. That's what everybody says about real estate, and it holds true. Now, a couple of different tips on picking a location. If you want a cheat code, just go where the hotels are. These hotels have multi-million-dollar investment before they even start building. Before they break ground, they've looked into these markets. They've done the market research for you guys. They spent millions on it, so they know that this is a place where short-term rentals are in demand and short stays are in demand. So if there's a budget hotel nearby, the likelihood is it's going to be a decent location. Other things you want to check out for, you want to see if there's maybe a Division I university, maybe there's a big sports team, maybe an NFL team, an NBA team, an NHL team. It's always going to bring people in, and those stadiums usually hold concerts and other types of events, which are going to bring people for short-term stays. And another thing is maybe hospitals. You know, people visiting relatives if they're in hospital will need a place to stay short-term. Or if it's just a touristic city. If there's just a lot of tourism in the city, a lot of different reasons to visit it. Maybe it's a ski town, maybe it's a surf town, you know, maybe it's close to beaches, whatever. Okay, so different reasons a location can be good for Airbnb. You need to analyze that yourself and figure out what type of property you want to have. Now, another point on location, which I'm actually going to write down, is if it is near you. This is not mandatory, guys. Okay, to start, you don't actually have to physically be there all the time for that property, but it does help. You're likely going to have teething problems. You're going to have issues that you run into at the start, and you want to make sure that you are actually close by to handle those things and just get through them. So I always recommend that if you're just starting out, pick somewhere that's near you. Pick somewhere you can actually manage yourself. And then you've got your location, okay? So finding the right property. Massively important. You need to make sure that the property is actually going to be profitable and make you money, okay? And to do this, we have a little research method that I show my students, and that is using Zillow. This is US based, obviously, and AirDNA, which is actually international. You can search any country, basically any city, and get data from AirDNA. And I'm actually going to insert a clip now that's going to show you everything to do with Zillow, AirDNA, market research, looking over the data. Okay guys, so now we're going to jump into the Zillow and AirDNA market research. So I'm showing you guys as an example, Tucson, Arizona. Okay, I've been here multiple times. I do like this place, but I don't actually manage Airbnbs there myself. So we go ahead and just search it, put basic filters on, up to 1.3K a month rent, minimum of 1 bed, 1 bath. And that's really it, guys. So go ahead and find what sort of properties are available here. As you can see, the rental market is quite cheap, but I would say it's probably going to be fairly seasonal, probably a ridiculously hot summer. I would recommend a swimming pool, probably based on that. But like, here's the first one that sort of jumps out. Now, you would need to check on the map, obviously, where it's located. You know, is it close to amenities? Is it close to the downtown area? Pretty basic things to look into. Place looks very nice, very well kept. Nice little swimming pool, basketball court. So I'm not going to go full in depth on this, guys. I'm just going to show you as an example. So here we have, let's say, 2 bed, 1 bath, $910 a month. Okay, not bad. We can deal with that. Guys, Tucson has a Division I university there. It has, you know, different reasons for people to visit. It has a really good downtown. It's actually a pretty cool place, to be honest. So then we go to AirDNA, which is our market research tool. We click United States. Obviously, you can see the highlights on their main landing page, which gives you ratings for different markets, how they're currently doing. Now, the first rated on that main screen doesn't mean that if you go there, you're going to win. Okay, it doesn't mean you're going to get a great property. As you can see, the market score here is actually not that high. We don't have the pro version at the moment because I'm not signing on new properties, so we can't see, obviously, all the data. I do recommend you use this once you are actively looking. I'm not doing that myself right now, so I've just downgraded. But the basics give you sort of the outline of what you can expect. Now, there's only 3,800 properties, which is actually quite low. That's pretty good. That's low competition. Average annual revenue, 28.4K. As you can see, their high season is in the winter. No surprise there. Summer's probably ridiculously hot. And that probably means that if you have a swimming pool available, you're going to do better in the summer months. Things to look out for. So take that with a pinch of salt, guys. That's based on the competition that's already there. You know, you can always outplay the competition. Then you can use AirDNA to search the exact address. It's a 2 bed, 1 bath, as we saw, and let's say it sleeps 4 guests. You could have a queen bed, double bed in each bedroom, and a sleeper sofa. So essentially you could sleep 6 at the max. And our projected revenue, there we go, guys. Very, very high. Expected occupancy at 80%, revenue at 31.4K, average daily rate at $108. If we did some quick math on that, you know, you're going to see sort of your 31.4K, your expense is what, $910 a month on rent, and you can say maybe $1,100 with your other expenses a month. That's going to bring you to $13,200 a year on expenses. You're going to make 31.4K. You're going to make roughly 20K a year profit. That's the quick numbers, guys. Couldn't be more simple. Go ahead and get into this, guys. Just run your own numbers. So now that you know how to go through Zillow and AirDNA to actually look at the data on your property and make sure it's going to be a winner, you need to make sure that the location that you've actually picked allows Airbnb. So you need to look into regulation and laws. There are a lot of cities, especially major cities, okay, that have regulation and laws around Airbnb now. It's absolute nonsense, right? It makes no sense. It just hurts the tourist market, but they've done it, okay? Homeowners associations have got together, they've grouped together, they've petitioned, and they've got regulation and laws put in. I completely stay away from these types of places. I don't bother. I'm not going anywhere where I have to jump through hoops or fill out a bunch of forms just to get started. It's a waste of time, it's hassle that you don't need, and I just advise you stay away from it. But look, it's the same as any kind of process, right? It's in place, and there are forms that you have to fill out. There's maybe a license that you have to obtain, and you just do it, and you can still get started and everything will be fine. Just do it the legal way, make sure that your property is set up correctly, and you won't have any issues. Okay, so you've actually found your property now, guys. You've got your winning property. You've obtained the agreement with the landlord. If you're arbitraging, if you've bought this property, of course, now you're ready to get started. And if you've agreed with the landlord that you're going to rent this property, advertise it on Airbnb, a couple other things you need to do. Obviously, you need to get all the bills and utilities into your name. That goes without saying. That's whether you own it or whether you're arbitraging it. Make sure that you have all your bills set up so that a guest isn't going to come in and the electric's all of a sudden going to turn off. It's a guaranteed way to get a 1-star review. So you've got the property. Now you need to set up your listing. This is your actual Airbnb listing itself, guys, and this is majorly important. This is essentially your landing page for your website, right? Your product is the property, and Airbnb, your listing, is your landing page. That's people's first experience with your property. It's not when they walk through the front door, it's when they actually see your listing online. So massively important, guys. You want to make sure that this is on point, and it starts with photos. Now, this is where a lot of people kind of set themselves up to sort of fail or just go ahead and not make as much money as they could. Your photos need to be on point. An iPhone is not going to cut it, okay? Get a professional real estate photographer in there. Where do you find them? Estate agents, okay? They're the gatekeepers. They're the gatekeepers when you're finding properties to arbitrage or to buy, and they're also the gatekeepers for real estate photographers because they have those people coming in and taking photos damn near every day. So get a contact from them, somebody who's good at taking photos, or go on Craigslist, or go on, you know, any kind of site that has freelance professionals, and go ahead and find somebody to take high quality real estate photos. You might pay $300 to $400 for this, but it's worth the money, guys. It's a one-off expense, and it's going to go ahead and increase your profit substantially, guys. I can't emphasize enough. This is people's first experience of your property. If they think it looks shit, they're not going to book it, right? So get high quality photos, HDR photography, set it up like an IKEA showroom, essentially. You want to make sure everything is pristine for the photos, and you want to make sure the photos are good quality. Go ahead and compare your property to others in the area, and also according to like the market rate based on what you're actually offering. So how many bedrooms, how many people does it sleep, what is the average cost per night? Go ahead and set your pricing around that. And we're going to get into a little bit more to how you can actually use software to your benefit with pricing, and have adaptable pricing that changes due to market conditions and what the current booking rates are like and what the current demand is like. Your pricing should be fluctuating with that. If it's a weekend, if it's a weekday, whatever it is, guys, your pricing should be changing. But make sure that you're not too expensive, and also make sure you're not too cheap. That's another thing that can actually harm you, guys. Perception is everything. If you're too cheap, people are going to think, you know, maybe this property isn't actually worth it. And something to keep in mind with pricing is I like to work my pricing on basically if I'm 30% occupied. So 10 nights of a month. If I'm going to get booked for 10 nights of the month, that needs to be the break-even point, because that's worst case scenario. 30% occupancy rate needs to be getting me my money back. Okay? So everything over 10 nights stay a month is going to be profit, essentially. So you can roughly work off those figures, guys, and that's how I advise that you actually price it. So 30% occupancy, break even. Golden rule, guys, my golden rule. 30% occupancy equals break even. Try follow that as best you can. Now you set up your listing, okay, guys, it looks good, and you've also got good descriptions, guys. This is another thing. ChatGPT is your friend on this, guys. Have information about the town or the city that the Airbnb is located, okay? Different attractions, the distance from those attractions, so people have a good idea, you know, before they come in and start asking you a bunch of questions. Everything's actually answered in the listing. How many people does it sleep? What size bed is in what room? Guys, have all the information on your listing. Then you're going to go ahead and focus on managing your listing. And I touched on this briefly, guys. We use software for this. So the first thing that we use is a channel manager software. Now, I won't actually throw these up on the screen because we'll be looking at these more in depth in other videos, but I use a specific channel manager software called Guesty for hosts. It's very, very easy to use, guys, very straightforward, and it will actually manage your Airbnb, whether it's across multiple platforms. If it's on Airbnb, Booking.com, VRBO, it'll integrate all the calendars, so they actually all book off at the same time. If somebody books an Airbnb, the calendar is going to be blocked off on Booking.com, VRBO, whatever other site you're using. So massively important. And you're going to be able to do automated messages through this. Game changer, guys. You should not be sitting for every booking, especially once you're at scale. Once you have more than one property, you should not be sitting day in, day out, messaging guests, sending them check-in information. You need to have everything on a template. When you use the automated messaging software, it's going to fill in their name into that template. So it looks personalized, but it's all pre-written, guys. Okay, it's all scripted, it's all a template. So you're gonna be able to send your messages automatically. That's a welcome message straight after they book, letting them know that they're gonna get a check-in message the day before they check in, which they get, and they get that with a code to access the property. We like to use actual codes that open the door. It's gonna give them basically all the check-in instructions, information they need to know, how to operate the washing machine, how to operate the dishwasher, all that kind of good stuff. Also, you're going to let them know that they're going to get a checkout message the day before they're due to check out, and then that message is going to go automatically the day before checkout. This is about making things as easy and as streamlined as possible. If you're spending sort of more than 3 hours a week on your business, that's not market research for new property. If you're actually spending that managing your Airbnbs, it's way too much time. You're not utilizing the software, and it's cheap. It's basically about $20 a month per property. So you have your channel manager set up, you're managing your listing or listings through that, and everything's kind of set, automated for you. What's the second software you need to use? Price Labs. And as I said, I will get more in detail with this in other videos. The basics of what Price Labs actually is it is a pricing management software. And this is where you can actually set your pricing parameters. So how your pricing is going to adapt to the market demand. What is your ceiling cap on cost per night? And what is your floor? What is the lowest cost that you're willing to accept per night? And then that's going to go ahead and fluctuate your prices based on the market conditions, based on the demand. And it's going to allow you to actually draw as much profit as possible per night, per property. You can also set discount amounts for week-long bookings, month-long bookings, 3-month-long bookings. You can basically have full flexibility on what parameters you set on your pricing. A Tuesday night in the middle of November should not be the same price as a Saturday night in July. It just shouldn't, okay? Different demand, different reason for pricing. So in your high season, you should be making as much profit as possible. In your low season, you should be making sure that you're getting that consistency of bookings that's actually going to allow you to at least break even or make money in the slow seasons. A kind of golden rule that I work off, depending on the property type, of course. If you have a luxury house, you're going to make a lot more money per month, but your expenses are going to be higher. And if you're in an area that's extremely low rent, low cost, say it's $500 a month per property. If you're doubling that, you're making $500 a month per property. It's okay. But the golden rule on a normal sort of apartment or home, $1,000 per month minimum net profit. That's what you should average. And that way, if you have 10 properties, you're at 10K a month. Okay, guaranteed net profit. Now, in your high season, you want to be making a lot more than that, but that should be your average. Now, guys, we're going to go into sort of the outside employees that you're going to have to bring into this business. And the main one is cleaners. Okay, so a cleaner is going to, excuse my spelling. English is my first language, but you wouldn't know sometimes. So cleaners for your property. Okay, where can you get them? Well, guys, basically anywhere. Craigslist, if you're in the US, Gumtree, maybe if you're in the UK, or there's a website called Turno, which is for cleaners for short-term rentals, guys. Couldn't be any more simple. Yeah, you may pay a little bit over the odds for that, but once you have a cleaner that you like and that follows your processes, okay, that leaves your Airbnb spotless every night, that changes the bedding, that takes it away, is going to clean it herself for you and bring it back next time to change with the bedding she's just put on. If they're good and if you want to keep working with them, then employ them. Okay, take them on as a subcontractor, pay them per clean. And the way that you want to actually set this up is so that you don't have to interact every booking with this cleaner. Remember that channel manager software I mentioned before, Guesty for hosts? Well, you can actually set that up to send automated messages and reminders to your cleaner. Okay, so every time somebody books a specific property, that cleaner is going to get a message with the dates and the checkout date, most importantly, because that's when they're going to go ahead and clean the property on that checkout date. Then you can set it to a day or 2 days before for them to get a reminder message so they don't forget. So they go and clean the property, turn it over for the next guest. The next guest is going to get their check-in message. They're going to come up at their check-in time or just after to a clean property, fresh property, and everything's going to go smoothly for you. You don't have to do a bunch of back and forth with the guest, with the cleaner. It's unnecessary, guys. Set it up, automate everything. Golden rules, guys. Then you need a maintenance guy, okay? Like, this is unavoidable. Yes, you can do some things yourself, but when you're operating at scale, you need a handyman, guys. You need somebody who's going to hang the TVs, who's going to fix the holes in the wall, who's going to rehang the curtains, okay? Being through all this, absolutely mandatory. And the best place that I use for this is a site called TaskRabbit. And that's for all types of freelance sort of handymen, people that you need for odd jobs, people that you need for specific jobs. You can get joiners, electricians, whatever you can get on the site, okay? Any kind of profession. But it's going to have their hourly rate. TaskRabbit takes a percentage. You're then insured through that website, okay? Everything's kept safe and secure. Think of that as the Airbnb for freelance professionals. Okay, next thing that you want to be focusing on is reviews. 5-star reviews, guys. Massively important. And that's going to be key in obtaining and maintaining your superhost status. That is going to help you in the algorithm. It's going to help you stand out on the platform. It's a trust thing. People see Superhost and they think, well, this guy's obviously providing a good service. His property's obviously good. I'm going to book with him. How do you get quality reviews? Well, the first thing is you're not tricking anybody. You're offering a good property. You're offering a good stay, guys. It's not that complicated. Like, don't think you're trying to trick anybody here to giving you a 5-star. Just be 5-star. And what's going to actually help you with that is your automated messaging, because it's going to look personalized. It's going to mean that they have effective communication with you. They're not left wondering, oh, how do I check into this property? They know when the message is going to come. Keeps everything smooth for them. They like to see that, and they make sure that the property itself lives up to expectations. Okay, and invest in the property, guys. Have a big flat screen TV in the living room, and have nice size, sort of big smart TVs in the bedrooms. It's a one-off expense, guys. It makes for a nice stay. People like to watch TV when they're traveling or whatever it is. And if you have that, a good quality Wi-Fi and a smart TV, it's going to make things super simple, super easy for them. Your body washes, your shampoos, your conditioners, guys. Make this sort of hotel level, because that's one thing that kind of with Airbnb people don't like, is that they don't get the comfort of a hotel. So give them that comfort, okay? Have dishwashing tablets there, have plenty of toilet paper in the property, you know, all these kinds of things are going to help with your 5-star review. And then on your checkout message, request the review, guys. Shamelessly ask for it, okay? Hey, if you don't mind leaving us a 5-star review, it really goes a long way to helping our family business. We'd appreciate it. We hope you had a great stay, and we wish you all the best in your onward journey. Okay, guys, simple messages like that is going to help you request a review. And oftentimes people say, hey, had a great stay. Of course, we'll leave a 5-star review. And they do it. I've been managing Airbnb for over a year now. I've never missed a superhost, guys. And the hardest metric to hit is the reviews. Very hard to get reviews taken away by Airbnb, because occasionally you can have malicious reviews, guys. People who are just perpetually unhappy. They're going to take it out on you, and you're going to have to deal with that. So very hard to get reviews taken away. Make sure you get as many 5 stars as possible, guys. It's going to make all the difference. Now, guys, last but not least, we're going to get in depth on Airbnb arbitrage. So I touched on this before. This is basically a rent-to-rent strategy. It's where you agree with a landlord that you are going to operate their property as an Airbnb, but you're going to pay them rent as if you're a long-term tenant. Okay, guys, pretty straightforward. And a lot of people get lost in this. They think like they have to convince these landlords to do something that they don't want to do. Now, you got to reframe this, guys. They're expecting, say, $1,000 a month from a long-term tenant. You should not be overpaying for that, because you're going to operate it just like a long-term tenant. In fact, there's not going to be somebody staying in that property every single night, so it's going to have less occupancy, but it's going to be fully deep cleaned between every stay. So how much better could you expect from a tenant than somebody who's going to clean it multiple times a week, look after anything that may potentially break? They're not going to be left without a tenant who's paying, because you're going to offer them guaranteed rent through your LLC. You can sign that into the contract, guys. It's very simple. You need to frame it to the landlord that they're not doing you a favor with this, guys. You're going to be the best and last tenant that they're ever going to need. You need to convince them of this, and you need to actually fulfill that. You are offering a great deal here for landlords, okay? So that's what Airbnb arbitrage actually is, okay? You pay monthly rent plus expenses, and then you make the profit. Pretty simple, okay? So let's just break it down quite simply for you guys. If your rent is $1,000 a month, I'm in the UK right now, so I just wrote pounds. Let me correct that, $1,000 a month. And I don't actually have any Airbnbs in the UK myself right now. All of my Airbnbs are in Florida. I travel there occasionally, but at the minute I've been in the UK for a couple of months, away from my properties. Everything's running smoothly. Thankfully, I have people I know and trust who are down there who could handle anything if needs be, but all my properties are actually in Florida and I don't live there. Okay, so very simple. $1,000 per month, guys, is your rent, for example. Say your expenses, your Wi-Fi, your electric, your water, all that is $200 per month, okay? So you are out a total of $1,200 a month. I don't include the cleaning in this. Why? Because the cleaning should actually be a profit for you. The cleaning charge is charged to the guest on Airbnb, and you can actually charge slightly more than what the cleaning costs you. So that's not an expense, guys. You're getting that money directly from the guest. So your rent, your expenses equals $1,200. Now, your income. So let's say that you're booked 60% of the month. You're booked 20 nights. And your average nightly cost is, let's say, $150. Okay? You're booked 20 nights. That's $3K. So that's not 100% occupancy, guys. That is 60% occupancy, 60, 65, and you're now making $3K a month revenue. So your net profit per month, basic math here, guys, and just about got enough space here. Your net profit per month, if you can do that math, it's $1,800. And that's right where we want to be, guys. $1,800 per month. Does that make sense? Okay, so you're paying somebody else rent and you're making the profit on top of that rent, which is looking like $1,800. Okay, very, very simple. This is a cheap way to get into the property because you're paying likely a first month rent as a deposit and first month rent in general. And so essentially you're paying $2,000 up front, and that gets you into the property, guys. Then you're gonna have some furnishing expenses, but we like to use credit for that, which you'll pay off over the year. So get more into that in other videos, but to keep it basic, 2K gets you in the door, gets you your property. If you were gonna buy this property, you're probably looking at a $25,000, $30,000 down payment, much more to get in up front. But then again, your $1,000 a month is now gonna be on a mortgage. We're just gonna build equity in that property. We're just gonna build equity in your business. So pros and cons to both. If you don't have the capital to buy initially, or you want to scale faster, Airbnb arbitrage, guys, is the method. So guys, hopefully this guide gave you the insights that you need to know to get started. And if it did, all I ask is that you hit that subscribe button because I'll be posting more content like this. So if you're serious about getting into this business, guys, and you want one-to-one support, I do offer a one-to-one mentorship. So if you want your questions answered as a beginner from somebody who's been there, done that, and gone through it all, feel free to send me a message on Instagram or Telegram. It's linked in the description down below, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.